Before we begin, if you enjoy stories like this, please subscribe to my channel and share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and your experiences really matter. It was supposed to be a normal Sunday dinner, the kind we had done for years. My parents, my older sister, and I gathered around the table in the dining room, the smell of roasted chicken filling the air. But nothing about that night would be normal again. As we sat down, my mother gave me a look I couldn't quite read, and my father cleared his throat. My sister smiled faintly, like she was waiting for something. Then it came cold and sharp. "Honestly, you're the most useless child in this family." I froze. The words hit me harder than I could have imagined, like a physical blow to the chest. I felt my stomach knot, my hands tighten around the fork I hadn't even touched. For a moment, I questioned myself. Did I miss her? Maybe I'd imagined it in my own insecurities. But no. The weight of the sentence hung in the air like a fog. What do you mean? I managed to whisper, my voice trembling. They didn't soften. My father shook his head. "You've never really contributed. You can't hold a job steady. You don't help around the house enough. And let's face it, you don't have your life together." I wanted to respond immediately, to defend myself. But something inside me stopped. I paused. I realized they had done this before, little digs over the years that I brushed off, telling myself I was overreacting, that they were just joking. But this was deliberate and public. The meal continued, but every bite felt heavy. My mother chattered about family news. My sister laughed at stories I barely heard. My mind replayed every criticism, every subtle look of disappointment I had endured over the years. The truth was unbearable. I had always felt like I was carrying the weight of proving myself, but no matter what I did, it had never been enough. Then something shifted. I remembered all the times I had supported them quietly, the sacrifices no one had acknowledged, the nights I worked extra hours to send money home, the weekends I spent fixing things around the house without complaint, the late-night calls I took when my sister had a crisis. None of it mattered to them. Not tonight, not ever. I put down my fork and looked at each of them. Really looked for the first time. My voice was calm, measured, but every word carried the weight of years of ignored effort. "You call me useless, but I've spent my life trying to support this family. I've worked jobs you didn't notice, helped in ways you never thanked me for, and cared in ways you pretended not to see. If this is what you think of me, then I guess your opinion isn't important to me anymore." The silence that followed was deafening. My father's jaw tightened. My mother blinked rapidly, like she couldn't process what I had just said. And my sister, she looked at me as if she had finally realized she'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. I stood up, my chair scraping against the tile, and continued. "I'm done living to prove my worth to people who refuse to acknowledge it. I've spent years questioning myself because of your words, and I'm done. From now on, I'm living for me, not for your approval." The room felt smaller, the air heavy, but there was a strange clarity in that moment. I realized I had been carrying their judgment for years, letting it define me, and now I was finally letting go. After that night, I didn't run away or sulk. I didn't yell or slam doors. I just walked out calmly, carrying a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in years. The ride home was quiet. I replayed my words over and over, but instead of guilt or regret, I felt relief. The days that followed were difficult, not because I regretted standing up for myself, but because facing the absence of their approval was strange and unsettling. I reflected on my life, my choices, and my worth. I realized that love, respect, and self-value couldn't be dictated by people who had spent years belittling me. I also thought about forgiveness, not for them, but for myself. I forgave myself for doubting my abilities, for letting their words control my emotions for so long. And slowly, I began rebuilding my confidence one day at a time. Months later, I reconnected with friends I had neglected, pursued projects I had abandoned, and found joy in small victories that weren't measured by parental approval. I realized that validation from others is fleeting, but self-respect is enduring. I don't know if my family understood what I had done that night. Maybe they saw it as rebellion, arrogance, or anger, but I know the truth. It was a turning point. I stopped allowing others to define my worth. I stopped measuring myself by their expectations. And in doing so, I discovered a quiet strength I hadn't known I possessed. Sometimes, the people who hurt us the most also teach us the hardest lessons. That night, being called the most useless child could have broken me. Instead, it freed me. I learned that we don't need everyone's approval to be whole. We only need the courage to stand up for ourselves, to claim our own value, and to let go of those who refuse to see it. If you've ever felt dismissed, undervalued, or belittled by family, share your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your stories, and maybe together we can remind ourselves that our worth is ours alone